Welcome, one and all. Hold on, I gotta do something. Okay, I am now back. In my chair. My noisy chair that somebody in the 80s probably did a rail of coke off of. No, it's me, the one and only Lucky. So, I know. Oh my God, you're alive? It's just, oh my gosh, where did you go? Yeah, I'm back. I'm alive. I'm existing. So, yeah, where have I been? I've been crazy. No, I'm joking. No, really. I've just been, I don't know, man. Honest to God, I just got burnt out. Because, last year, early in the year, I did, the early half of the year, the first half, of 2021, I just put out an absurd amount of content. And I kind of just realized eventually, this is way too much stuff even for me. I'm not trying to, complain or be lazy, but, I put out way too much stuff. And I got burnt out like many people, and I had a trillion, it was kind of a bunch of different things, burnout from that stuff. My channel wasn't doing very well views-wise because of the algorithm. It's just, sorry, it's a reference. But, no, just in general, I was kind of tired. I got bored of making some of the content and whatnot, and I think I'm going to come back. I am, obviously, because you're listening to this, and whatnot. But I think when I come back, I'm not going to do as much. One audio and podcast a week, and one audio and podcast a week, and one audio on Patreon a week. Just an exclusive one, because I cannot make that much content, especially with, everything going on in the world, and, I need to help my family and stuff, so I can't always, but, yeah. But I would like to get back into it, and whatnot, and I'm not gonna lie, it's kind of, I don't know how, is ASMR, is it still, let's just, let's humor me on this podcast. No, I am pressing this button. You will obey me. And there is a world that is spinning on my browser. It's 55 out. I figured it would be a lot nicer, actually. Oh, well. What am I doing? Yeah, YouTube. Let's see. Is ASMR a thing? Do people still make stuff? Let's just roll with it. Let's just... Oh, okay. Yeah, it's still a thing. Never mind. No, but it's kind of now getting back into this. It's quite, I'm not gonna lie, it's quite sad for me. Because, I feel like I'm just I don't know, almost the best way I could describe it is it's kind of like a dying breed type of thing. You know what I mean? A lot of people, a good analogy is, those old, like, Joey Diaz, Bill Burr, Joe Rogan types, those, those 1970s, they grew up in that kind of era, doing all kinds of crazy, stupid stuff, like they're a dying breed. And I feel like with me, in a way, I kind of am as well, because I feel like I'm sort of like I'm a lot older, compared to, ASMR YouTubers. Not necessarily in age. I mean, fun fact, I turned 22 yesterday, which, yes, we'll talk about that. Don't worry. We'll talk about my birthday I had yesterday. But I got to be a little sad here for a second and just vent, I gotta vent. I need to get rid of these emotions. But no, I feel like I'm sort of like a dying breed type of thing, kind of like from a different era of ASMR. Back then it was, when I kind of started getting into it, 2017, 2018, it was a lot rougher and still kind of coming up. And I kind of got into that thing at like the right time, right place, and somehow I have a moderate following when it comes to YouTube stuff for voice acting, which, again, and no pun intended, I really am lucky. It was just complete luck that I got, this following and channel. Honestly, there's, nothing to it besides luck, which is, obviously hilarious and ironic, but that was kind of the thing. It was just like that back then. It was a lot, more it wasn't as refined and honed out and as massively popular as it is these days, And back then, the quality of my videos, I didn't even have a computer or anything. Then thankfully, I eventually got one and started putting out more high quality stuff, But yeah, it was just kind of an old kind of thing. It was old-fashioned back then, I guess. And it's sad because, like, now, I'm like one of the older, kind of guys when it comes to this stuff, like ASMR stuff that still kind of posts content. Like, a lot of these people, honestly, like, I watch them, like guys like Cabin in the Woods, that guy, he crushed it. He was amazing, Then, strangely, he kind of just stopped posting stuff. Like, there are so many ASMR and voice actors that, like, stopped making stuff. I think, like, Sunflower ASMR or something. She was really good. I don't even know if she still has her channel, because I looked and I couldn't find it, so maybe she deleted it. I think, Salty ASMR? I heard something about him. I guess he just stopped. He just wanted to move on and do other things, I guess. So I don't know what the hell happened with him. Then more recently, Happy Feet Audio, and Miss Rivers Audio retired. And I was like, when I heard that, I was like, I'm happy for him, moving on and whatnot. But it kind of hurt, because it was just like, a lot of these people I worked with and I've talked about before, I was good friends with them, I cared about them. They were good people, and I liked spending time with them, and they were wonderful to work with. And it's just kind of like, I'm sort of like old. I'm one of the older guys when it comes to this sort of industry, I guess. And it's quite a sobering spot, because, spot to be in, because, there are nights where I'm like, what are they doing? And I look it up, I They either haven't posted a lot, they haven't posted a while in a long time, they're completely inactive, or their channel just disappeared, vanished, for some unforeseen reason off of YouTube. And it's just tremendously sad because, I watched this stuff when I was growing up. Then I grew up and started doing this stuff. Met a lot of great people, had a lot of great friends, then life changed. People moved on. So, yeah, but I hope one day that a lot of these people that I worked with and did this stuff will come back. I've heard that Happy Feet Audios is interested in coming back, which I would love to. She's great in everything. Back when I was planning that Batman audio, I casted her. I was like, would you like to play like Lois Lane? I feel like she'd do a perfect job as her. But she just announced like she's getting married, so, and whatnot, and she's probably retired from this, so I'm happy for her, Go on and have a happy life, But I'll just be that old guy, kind of like, almost in a way, like, kind of like how Vsauce is one of those, like, last original YouTubers from, like, way back in the day, that classic YouTube stuff. I'm, kind of like one of those guys, but for ASMR. Part of an older, dying breed, I suppose. But, I'm still here. I ain't going anywhere, Someone has to mentor the new VAs, the voice actors. And if anybody is interested, I am one of the guys. No, for real though, if anybody's interested and needs any advice, I'm here, I don't mind it. I actually, one of these days, I think I'm going to make a YouTube video on how to get into, make ASMR. Because that was something people had requested, and I always thought would be a fascinating kind of video. So I think at some point I will do that. I think that would be cool. But, aside from ASMR and all that, what have I been up to in life? What have I been doing? I'm getting back in. I'm working the out, as I said. I still need to put that on a shirt. Working the out. It's an old reference from my channel. But I'm working out again. I kind of got a bit off during the holidays. Gained a little weight, as you do. I also kind of got off exercise a bit for about like a month because, I've probably, you might remember last year, kind of around Thanksgiving, I got really sick and got hospitalized for like, over a week. And, it took me about like half a month at least to kind of get back to normal. And that kind of threw me off, exercise. Kind of gets you out of the rhythm of it all. So, that's my stomach grumbling. The iconic Lucky ASMR stomach grumble. The unlucky grumble. That's what I'll call it. The unlucky grumble is back. Or I guess in its case, it would be the lucky grumble, because it's trying to make noise and ruin my work. My work. That's hilarious. Anywho, yesterday was my 22nd birthday. And it was nice. It was wonderful. I didn't end up dying. No, I woke up, I actually got a decent amount of sleep, all things considered. Then I had lunch with my grandfather. We went to Applebee's, and whatnot, and had a nice lunch. Then I was like, can we because Walmart's nearby, and I was like, can we go to Walmart? And he was like, I don't want to. And I was like, well, it's my birthday. And he was like, all right. And I'm like, nailed it. and whatnot. Because I was like, it was just like, maybe I can go find something there, like a little present for myself. I had a little spare pocket change, I got for my birthday. And I was like, I literally said to myself, as I was going through the store, I was like, it would make my day if they had the Robert Pattinson Batman action figure, the like McFarlane Toys one, from the new movie and whatnot. Because I don't even know if I might have mentioned it. I have been looking for that action figure for almost a year now. I have literally looked all over my entire state, the entire state of Kansas, multiple towns and cities, could not find it anywhere, and whatnot. And yesterday I was like, please let there be it. And I saw, let it be here and whatnot. I can't speak. And I was looking through them, and I saw like a couple like new ones and whatnot. That was like, wait a minute, these are some new Batman ones. Then I started looking through, and I looked behind a bunch of them, and I saw one of the action figures, the action figure I wanted. I saw one of them. I don't know if that was the only one, but I was like, I immediately picked it up, and I was like, my day has been made. Then I went and got a bag of Swedish fish. I was like, what the hell? You've been doing good. Get a little treat for yourself. So I got a whole bag of Swedish fish and just crushed that. I had a nice little bag of that, and I was like, this is great. Went back home, chilled, had a cup of coffee, listened to some music and whatnot, chilled with my dog. Then had a nice workout. I did a weights workout, which surprisingly, that's a lot tougher than I thought. I always thought, like, for me, like, compared to other stuff I do, it's probably not as strenuous. Then I kind of realized, like, oh my god, I feel like my arms are popping off. I'm like that guy in the Suicide Squad. Arm fall off kid, or whatever Nathan Fillion's character was in that film. I finally, bought it on Blu-ray recently and watched it, and it's as amazing as it has been said it was, which makes me want to go see Peacemaker now. Sorry, I was drinking water. I get my water. Then I had that, had a nice shower, got dressed, then I had a little party, and whatnot. My grandparents came over and my sister, and I had it with, me, my mom, brother, sister, and grandparents, and my dog. So they came over and we had a little party. Nothing crazy, just, they came over for an hour or two. We had, I was like, I want velvet cake, like velvet cake or like velvet cake cookie, something velvet cake. And my mom was like, okay. So she got a bunch of velvet cake cookies, which were really good. And actually, surprisingly, compared to other stuff, had not much fat. For me, I have to kind of, watch fat at times, because of my pancreas and stuff. And they only had like 6 grams of fat, which, comparatively speaking to other stuff, that's like as good as you could humanly get. It's incredible, and actually had, a bit of low sugar in one. It wasn't as crazy sugar-wise either, so, and they were great, so, I got a new shirt, some socks, because I always love socks and always need them, because, my dog eats them, and, I can't find half the pairs that match. I got some magnets for my fridge, some nerdy ones, because I'm a huge, like, stickers and magnet guy. Some hygiene stuff, and I got this, like one of those scented wax warmers, and my mom was going to get it. She bought it for me for Christmas. Then I saw it, and she was like, shit. She's like, no, you get it for your birthday, So, sorry about that. Mom texted me. Yeah, then, yeah, she gave it. I was like, I remembered, and I was like, oh, can I have that now? And she was like, oh, I forgot about it. It's like, yeah, go ahead and get it. So I got it out and busted it out, and I have it lit up over here, and it looks absolutely incredible. It's got 5 of the Avengers on it. It's like the MCU version, I think. And it looks great and whatnot. And it was funny because I was going to turn it on and whatnot. I was like, I got an idea. And they were like, my mom was like, all right, here we go. Then I turned on the Avengers theme, turned it on, and turned the warmer on, and it was just incredible. And my grandpa was like, oh my God, it makes noise. But, yeah, so that was nice. Then, yeah, that was it. So, yeah. And, I finally, after ages, saved up a bunch of money and, bought a PlayStation 5. Hopefully, I bought it from some kind of site and whatnot. Hopefully it's not full of shit and I didn't just waste hundreds of dollars to a bunch of scammers. You know, which I guess is possible. But, you know, I think these days, most of the time, you know, you can kind of iron that stuff down. Hopefully the law takes care of this stuff. Otherwise I'm fucked. But, no, I will hunt you down and get my PlayStation 5. You know, I have a very particular set of skills. I'm joking, I have no skills, but, you know. No, it should probably be fine. So, yeah. Hope all's well. But, you know. Yeah, so hopefully that should arrive sometime in the next, you know, century or two. Oh, not the... Hold on. Oh, wait, which one is it? Is it this one or the other one? There it is. To remind myself to turn that thing back on. There's like a billion things in my house that make annoying noises, but you know. But yeah, my PlayStation 4 is completely broken, cause you know, yeah, it's a busted thing, man. It's busted, you know. Yeah, it generally speaking is not working anymore, because I bought it literally almost, yeah, little over exactly 6 years ago. I bought it like a day before the Automatron Fallout 4 DLC came out, you know. You know, and before that I even had another one. So yeah, it's just run its course. I mean, it's like planned obsolescence, you know. They just make stuff break down on purpose. So, yeah. Yeah, it's just so, you know. Yeah. It does not work. you know. Like, because what happened, I think this is what happened. I think probably, you know, a bit of planned obsolescence has to do with it. But I think also because what happened was I opened the thing up for the first time and cleaned out all the dust, which took me like 2 or 3 hours, like seriously, to clean all that. It was just completely full of dust. The problem is it's been having those shutdowns, like it just shuts itself off. It overheats and shuts off, you know, in hard crashes. And that's not good because that can like corrupt the software inside it. So I think what happened was, even though I had fixed out all that dust, the like constant shutoffs had just corrupted the insides to the point where it's just broken regardless, you know. So yeah, it's completely broken. Like, you know, it was like I could play like maybe an hour or two, then it got down to like maybe half an hour, then to like 15 minutes, then to what it is now. I can't even like boot a game up. Like I can't even start the game, get to the starting screen and press like, you know, continue, start match, enter world or whatever. I can't even get to that. It just shuts off. So it's completely broken. So I've been like just like sawing my hand off here of boredom. Because, like, I like playing on my PC, but, like, most of my stuff is on my PlayStation. And I like sitting in my nice recliner and, you know, playing on my big TV and whatnot. So, yeah, it's just, ugh. So, yeah, hopefully, I didn't just give, like, a bunch of money to some shitty website that's not going to give me a PlayStation 5. And hopefully, you know, it's legit and comes relatively soon. Who knows, though? I guess we'll see. But, yeah. I mean, fuck, dude. Those things are so fucking expensive. Oh, my God. They're like $500 at retail, but online people are charging like $200, $300 more. Like, the minimum you can get for those things is like $800 to $900. Like, fuck. You know what I mean? It's like, that's insane. Like, those scalpers or whatever they call them, those scumbags that just buy them, then, like, inflate the price to get more money. To like absurd, where they're basically holding PlayStation 5s hostage. There is a special circle in hell for those people. You know, when they die, Kratos, you know, the god of war is going to be sitting there with his axe and, you know, his chaos blades, and it's like, I'm here, god of war. I'm going to kill you now. For the sins you've done. You know, and rips a guy's head off with his bare hands. You know, just, it's nuts. But, yeah. So, that was eventful. But, what's going on in the world right now? Quite a bit of stuff, apparently. It's fucking horrible. Oh, we're so fucked. The world is just completely gone to shit. Just, I mean, obviously, like, within, like, the past, can't make this shit up. You know, the past, like, 2 months or whatever, just, it's been just nonstop insane, you know, war in Ukraine, you know, COVID's still going on, inflation, and overpriced stuff is horrific. People are, losing jobs, natural disasters everywhere. I mean, it's so bad. It's so bad. We are so fucked. It's just, I know none of this is funny. I'm just trying to, make everybody laugh and bring levity to horrible situations, because it's just like, good grief, man. Good God. The amount of bad shit that's been going down. Holy crap balls. It's like, can you get any worse? Yeah. It's just like, people thought like, 2022 is going to be so much better. It's like, you poor soul. You poor soul. And it's just, it's looking rough right now, As Frank Wood said, Russians and Chinese are getting real cozy. No, literally, like, I guess Russia and China are, like, teaming up now, as, like, super villains. The governments, obviously the country and its people. That's the thing that always sucks about stuff like this, is it's pretty much just the government's fault, Like, most of the people in these countries that go through stuff like this, they have nothing to do with this. They don't want it. I mean, you look at Russia right now. I mean, nobody in that country, unless you're brainwashed or a bot, wants that war. No one wants it. Putin is just... Man, that dude is fucking on something. Holy shit, dude. That dude is pure evil. Pure evil. Should I be afraid that this man is, going to most likely kill me? Nah, I don't give a shit. I've been trying to kill myself for 22 years now. They do me a favor. I'm being sarcastic, but no, I'm not afraid of him. That, bald, foreskin-looking fuck. I don't give a shit. Like, it's just like, guys like that, it's like, dude, who fucking cares? Please, just shut up already. Alright, this is the thing I always thought was hilarious, is how, like, when this shit was, like, going down in the early days of this war, he, like, threatened Finland, and I'm like, are you a fucking idiot or something? Are you so unbelievably dim in the fucking cranium? Because I'm like, did you not remember from history? Because historically speaking, if you didn't know, basically back in 39 and 40, the Russians, the commies, invaded Finland and whatnot, which was a significantly smaller country in terms of people, land, resources, and soldiers. And they thought they'd just walk in and kill everyone and just take the country over. It did not end well. They got their asses absolutely, utterly obliterated. I mean, fucking hell. And they ran crying back to the, the motherland, the Siberian land. I don't know. I can't think of something funny. And they lost horribly. And I'm like, that's when I really realized, oh, this guy's an idiot. He's a fucking moron. And whatnot. And it seems like, just with how the war's been going on, it seems like, Ukraine's just holding out, man. Like, they've completely just stalled and broken down that entire, like, line of troops. Because I think Bill Burr kind of put it best, is like, because eventually, like, you're spread too thin, basically. And I think he kind of wait for it. I miscalculated. He miscalculated and basically thought he could just kind of walk in and kill everyone. But he kind of didn't really think that... He didn't really realize, like, if you have, like, miles of troops, eventually it's going to get bogged down. And people are going to start starving, you're not going to have resources. They just didn't do very well. So basically, from what I've heard, it's just basically been stalled there. But, Russia's now doing the whole... this is the horrible part, is like, now they're just committing war crimes. And whatnot. And I'm like, I hear people that are like, just like, completely baffled by this. And I'm like, where the fuck have you been? Have you not fucking seen the shit, the Russian military has done in the past? I'm not saying completely. I'm not an expert in this stuff, but from my knucklehead perspective, throughout many, conflicts recently under Putin, there have been many, many war crimes that have happened where they just start killing civilians on purpose. And it seems like that's what they're doing now, is they're just killing people. They're like bombing maternity. It's like, oh my fuck. It's like this guy is bombing maternity hospitals. Like, what kind of fucking evil shit, like, are you up to, man? It's like, you're not going to be looked on very kindly when it comes to history. Because it's not just, Ukraine and the rest of the world that's going to hate you and you need to worry about. Like, your own fucking people despise you. They absolutely hate your guts. And this guy is going to be looking over his shoulder for the rest of his life. And whatnot. Based on how people have been acting lately in that country. So, it's just a weird, crazy, awful situation the world's in. And like, this is I've said before, like, this is probably the closest we've gotten to a third world war. Like, I kind of like call it like World War II.5. Because we're not like quite there, but like, we're kind of, getting into that. It's just like, dude, the past fucking year, holy fuck knuckles. The past year or two, it's like Hong Kong, all revolt there, completely crushed. The whole Afghanistan fiasco of last year. And now you have this fucking war and whatnot. And possible other wars, like Russia invading Moldova or China invading Taiwan. It's not a good fucking place we're in. I need to take some... Hold on. I need to take some ibuprofen. That's a SpongeBob joke. My stomach's starting to hurt. This chair is insufferable. Anywho, that is... No, you, my friend, will stay there. But no, it's horrible. It's so fucking bad. We're just not in a great spot, generally speaking, at this point, in the world. So, why would... That's one of those stupid locks from... Hopefully that'll help. I'm gonna work out after this. Get my daily workout done. But yeah, world's kind of messed up at the moment. So, but entertainment news. Let's talk about some stuff. So I finally watched The Batman, and like about a week or two ago. And I haven't really had much time to talk about it, but gosh, that film is incredible. Sorry, that was my pencil. I mean, hell, dude, just kind of touch on it, It's an incredible movie. Oh my, did I just say show? I feel like I said show. I don't know. Movie. You know what I'm talking about, don't you? Please? But, no, it's a masterpiece. The Batman is, quite honestly, one of the best, most well-made films I have ever seen. And it is easily one of my top 10 favorite films ever made now. My personal top 10. It's like rivaling like Captain America the Winter Soldier. And given that that is my favorite film ever made, that kind of tells you how good this film is. So to kind of touch on it a bit, things that I really liked is, one of the things I loved about this kind of interpretation is that it's a very, and I kind of noticed this and whatnot leading up to the film's release, and kind of Pattinson and many others, sort of kind of touched on it, is that this is kind of a pretty like Conroy-esque Batman character. Kevin Conroy famously voiced, he's the voice of Batman. He is Batman. He's considered, even though he gets overshadowed a lot by, the film versions of the character, a lot of people, including me, consider him to be Batman. He is the best Batman who's ever Batman. He knows the character. He loves the character. He plays him better than anyone. And, seeing Pattinson, doing this, it felt very Conroy-esque. That's sort of like, yes, he's dark and gritty and serious and menacing when he needs to be. He's got anger and vengeance in him. But at the end of the day, he is this more heroic, altruistic, kind, caring, human version of Batman. And it's not really surprising because, Robert Pattinson said that this version of Batman, this film was heavily inspired by Mask of the Phantasm, which was a Batman the Animated Series film starring Kevin Conroy, which is widely considered some of the best content ever made for Batman. It's astoundingly good. And sorry, I got a raisin in the back of my tooth. Those things are horrible. They get stuck everywhere. I hate them. They're chewy, and they get stuck everywhere. It's a dumb reference. But, no, it was great. Great interpretation, I felt, because kind of the whole arc was him being very vengeful and using fear in the beginning of the film. And his kind of arc was him realizing he needed to do better, he needed to be better, and become this heroic, version of the character and whatnot, instead of this just entirely vengeful one, And I think that was an incredible arc to give to him, just incredible, generally speaking, I'd say. Just overall a fantastic, interpretation. And by the end of the film, he becomes that hopeful character, which I absolutely adore and absolutely love. Like the scene that absolutely got me, and even got me a bit emotional, was at the end of the film, like after the flood, and he's like carrying that kid and puts the kid on like the gurney that gets hooked up to the chopper, get taken away, and the kid like grabs his arm, and he's like, at first he's kind of, a little taken aback by it. Then, he puts his hand on their hand and kind of gives him a nod, and it's like, it's okay, you're gonna be okay, it's all right. that the kid doesn't fear them and whatnot. They care about them. They're like, I'm not really afraid of you. I look at you like, like, thank you. Like, you're really great, Like, thank you for saving me. And, him realizing that. Like, it's a perfect arc, because at the beginning of the film, you see a kid who just lost his dad and whatnot, just like Bruce Wayne, obviously, and whatnot. A kid having his life taken away at the beginning, but at the end of the film, after this whole arc, a kid's life is saved and whatnot, Like, it's just like, that's perfect writing. It's incredible. And Paul Dano is absolutely menacing as the Riddler. He is, I would say, the best version of the character. Because I've always said, like, the Riddler is a great character, but he's often looked at as this hokey, goofy version. But if you go back to, like, the bare bones of the character, if this guy went, like, legit serial killer, methodical, evil person, you're done, man. He's like a bane to the world, pun intended. And I love that he's this Zodiac-inspired character, like right down to the executioner hood and the Riddler symbol that's kind of like a crosshair, which is what the Zodiac killer had. And he even directly referenced a Zodiac killer quote. Famously, when the Zodiac, I don't think he actually spoke it to the newspaper. I think that was just in the movie Zodiac that he spoke it. I think in real life, he wrote it via note and sent it into the paper. But he had said, this is the Riddler speaking, and the Zodiac killer in real life said, this is the Zodiac speaking, which was in, David Fincher's Zodiac, which was, curiously enough, David Fincher also directed Seven, which has been quoted as one of the biggest inspirations for the film. This sort of serial killer type film. And I love that it's just this very, like, noir it feels like a true detective film. Like, we get a lot of hints of that throughout the Batman films. But this is by far the most in-depth and well done, I would say. Like, this really, really feels like this it's not just like, okay, he does some detective work here, 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 and here. It's like this constant drip feed, this perfect pace of investigating and whatnot. And I love that Jeffrey Wright, who is amazing as Commissioner Gordon, I think he could possibly even dwarf Gary Oldman's portrayal. Like, he's excellent in this, where he's like on the ground with Batman all the time. He trusts him with his life. He's incredible in this. But, one of the things that I think a lot of people will say as a sort of criticism of the film is that it's a bit too long. And even I was like, okay, yeah, it maybe is a bit too long. But in retrospect, I actually think it works. I think it was meant to be longer, because you don't want to rush this. You really want to make it a true long-form detective film. And that's what you needed to do. I think that the longer kind of runtime of it is perfect for the character, and I think it's what you needed to go about with. Because if you didn't, it's just, you can kind of compress it, and it's not as well paced and thought out, and whatnot. So, yeah, I think it was just overall fantastic. Really, I think it is. Easter eggs, references, things, and whatnot. Little details. One of the things I really loved was how the like this version of the character like puts sunglasses on quite often when he's out in public and in the daytime, because he's so used to just being Batman and awake at night. He's just like blind, literally as blind as a bat, you know, like sun blindness, you know, where it's just his eyes are so used to the dark. It hurts his eyes like crazy. I love that, you know. I think it's interesting also the kind of tech he has in this film. Like, it's interesting because, you know, Matt Reeves has said that this is kind of a very grounded, realistic take of the Batman. And yeah, it's like there isn't really too much that sort of leads into, you know, crazy, fantastical stuff. This is very grounded in real world, you know. Maybe not as much as like the Nolan films, but fairly grounded, I would say. And I just love the tech. I love the suit. The suit is incredible. It is my favorite Batsuit now. It's beautiful. I love the more like, almost like this, not as stylized, more like almost militaristic kind of look to it. You know, like with the pants and all that, and the, you know, utility belt. It feels more utilitarian and whatnot, if that makes sense. And I just love his tech. I love how his grapple gun is like built into his wrist. I also love how, you know, he glides. It like he can use his suit and turn it into a wingsuit on the fly and whatnot. And one of the things I really liked in this is how they kind of made this version of Batman like he's a badass and he can do cool stuff, but like at the same time there's a bit of that human fear in him. Like when he gets up top, you know, that, you know, the police tower, and he's like about to jump off and he's like, oh shit, he saw how high up he was. You know, it kind of like for a bit shocked him and whatnot. And you know, the car chase, the penguin chase, which I'll get into a second, he was also kind of like freaked out in that. You know, you can see some great facial acting from Pattinson. You know, he's just kind of like going by the seat of his pants. But yeah, he's a badass, but he's got that. He also, you know, he's not completely without fear, you know. And obviously, you know, with Alfred, him kind of like, you're not my dad, you know, the whole speech. Then he almost loses him, then realizes, you know, I've never really had anything to fear and whatnot. Then he realized, you know, the people he cares about, you know, Alfred, you know, the GCPD, you know, Gordon. Obviously, you know, Catwoman as well, you know, who is, I mean, incredible. She is, Zoe Kravitz is fantastic. She's an excellent actress. I mean, gosh, she's incredible. You know, she's great as her. And I can't wait to see, like, the Catwoman show they come out with, because she's incredible in this. I really think she's fantastic. Probably the best we've ever gotten. And I love the plot twist of she's Falcone's daughter. That was like, oh shit. Like, I did not see that coming at all. You know, I guess in retrospect, looking at it again, there are some like hints and pieces to like, maybe there's a bit of something there, you know, but it's just like, that shocked me. I was like, wow, that's nuts. But yeah, I think the fighting and the choreography is excellent. Like I said, the Batman car chase, which I think is going to become iconic. I really think that. Like, that car chase, oh my so good. Holy crap. I remember when the Batmobile started revving up, and I didn't want to like yell or like shout, and be loud, but like I was on the inside, I was screaming, and I literally like threw my fists up in the air and started shaking. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so excited, and whatnot. And I lost it. I flipped out on the inside because I was like, the build up to that was incredible, where it's just this car revving up and up and up and up. Then it starts moving, and you look at, in some excellent acting by Colin Farrell, he's just absolute, even, a mob boss type character like him, he is absolutely terrified by the Batman and the Batmobile and just bolts out of there as fast as possible. It is by far the most intimidating Batmobile we've ever gotten. And it honestly, it's my favorite. Like, this is like Pattinson's just this whole film. It's gonna be one of my favorites. Like, a lot of people know, for years I've talked about how I believe that Pattinson is great in this. He's gonna be great. The film is gonna be great. Like, just wait. And it turns out, yeah, it was great. All those people that were like, he's gonna be shit. Edward Cullen, it's like, you realize you're judging an actor's acting ability based on like a few crappy films. It's like, that makes no sense at all, It's like judging a human being. That's like judging a person's like intellect on a particular school subject, or like a subject and whatnot, by, like a test they took back in middle school that they didn't do great on. It's like, you did shitty on this back in junior high, then you must suck at your job. It's like, are you serious? You know what I mean? It's just ridiculous. But I love that, the Batmobile was just incredible, how it just ramps up and up and up. And the sound design, and oh my God, it was insane how good that was. It's one of the best experiences I've had in a theater. It was so exciting and just so freaking kick-ass. I mean, it's like, dude, this is amazing. This is like the best thing ever. So I loved it. I really enjoyed it, honestly. It was fantastic. So, man, it's good. Oh, it's so good. Just an incredibly well-made film. Then, kind of now moving on into, also one thing I want to kind of touch on real quick is, I love the like Falcone death and how it feels like kind of very reminiscent of like Lee Harvey Oswald's death from obviously real life. It feels very Lee Harvey Oswald in that and whatnot. I was like, this is like JFK shit right here. And I think that the scene and whatnot, the like interrogation scene between the Riddler and Batman is incredible. I don't think it's as obviously iconic, and it's very, very good, but obviously it's probably never going to beat the Dark Knight's version. But holy crap, it's good. I mean, it's kind of, if you look at it in like a meme, like just ironic, kind of sense, it's hilarious. Like, no. Yeah, I saw a meme that was hilarious. It was like Kevin Feige's reaction to watching Morbius. He was like, no, this was not how it's supposed to go. I like cracked up and died. But like, it's a very well done scene, and the acting is incredible between the both of them. Especially like, I love the kind of, I went and saw it with my brother, and he was crying laughing, like in those later scenes where he saw like the Riddler like like live stream, like, hi guys, this is the last stream, and he was just, we were cracking up. And that's what I think is so interesting about that character, is how he's so like disconnected to it. Because obviously there's a lot of stuff with mental health going on with him and whatnot, but like, I love the disconnect that him and a lot of the villains have, where a lot of them, you know, characters like in this, like the Riddler, that realize, like with Batman, they're criminals and they're, you know, there's a lot of cynicism in, you know, Gotham's kind of establishment, you know, the, you know, systems and the cops and lawyers and justice system and all that. And there's a point with that, but obviously the Riddler goes too far. He takes what Batman was doing, you know, fighting for justice and pointing out all the bad stuff and cynicism, but obviously he goes too far. And I think the whole, like, him disconnecting to that, where he doesn't, like, quite realize, you know, where it's like, he's super ultra, by the way, he's intimidating as hell in this film. I honestly would say this is part horror film. That's how, like, scary it is. Like, the beginning scene with the Riddler was unbelievable. I have never had that much anxiety in a film before, ever. I was, like, on the edge of my seat, like, I can't watch this, man. Please help me get the fuck out of here. Because his eyes, that's what scares the shit out of me. Those eyes are absolutely terrifying. But, you know, I love that disconnect that he has, where he doesn't really realize, you know, like, he's so casual about this, but he doesn't really realize, like, dude, you're murdering people in cold blood and doing stuff like this. You know, like, you don't realize how far you're going. And I think that's a perfect thing to do for the character, to really kind of, you know, have this kind of comparison where Batman does what he does, fights for justice and fighting crime and all that and whatnot, similar with the Riddler, but he understands, he has that self-reflection and objectivity, while the Riddler doesn't. He just doesn't, he's just disconnected from that. He doesn't really realize it, you know. But moving on to kind of, you know, questions of the future for the Batman, as they say, the Batman sequel, the Batman 2, whatever it is. There are a lot of threads they could go on, you know, in terms of villains and characters. It's been confirmed that, you know, Zoe Kravitz and Colin Farrell are both getting their own Catwoman and Penguin shows on HBO Max. And also, Commissioner Gordon is getting one, a GCPD one, which I think is going to be a prequel to this, which is going to be interesting. And, you know, it's going to be a very interesting kind of series and show. But in terms of characters, you know, they can do and bring back, or kind of like who's going to be the next villain. There are a bunch of loose threads. Obviously, one of them being Hush. This was a huge thing when the film was beginning, because people like looked at when the Riddler like duct taped the guy's face up. It was like, that's very Hush, you know. Hush being Tommy Elliott, who's basically a kid that was, you know, Bruce Wayne's age. They were similar in that, you know, they were both born to wealthy families. But I guess what happened is, in the comics, I guess Tommy wanted his parents' money, so he tried killing both his parents. But I guess like his mom or his dad survived because Thomas Wayne saved him or her, because they, you know, obviously he was a doctor. So he like spent his life trying to hunt down Bruce Wayne and get revenge on him. And it's heavily implied that Hush might be the next villain or one of the villains in this universe. Because I think they say, like, specifically in one of the scenes where they're seeing that footage in the orphanage, I think they had said like Thomas Eliot, something in the newspaper. It was either Thomas Eliot or like a different, like blank Eliot or whatever. So like Eliot's father. Then, Riddler and whatnot also specifically said hush money, hush. And it was, written on, scrawled on the screen. So it's kind of heavily implied, that like maybe like a theory that I thought like maybe Hush had to do with the death of Bruce's parents, somehow and whatnot, because like maybe Thomas Wayne did save, one of the Elliots and whatnot, so he's like taking revenge, maybe something like that. That might be the next villain. Another one is maybe like Court of Owls, because there are some loose references in this, like the owl like greeting card the Riddler gave, and different things, especially the whole like Gotham being ruled by these like different classes and people and stuff like that would kind of make sense for the Court of Owls. Obviously, you have Barry. I think his name's Keegan or Keen. I don't know how to say that guy's name for the life of me. But obviously, spoiler alert, he's the Joker. This version of the Joker, which I actually quite liked. I think maybe some of the facial stuff is maybe a bit much, like the nose and teeth. I love the whole, like, kind of like this universe is like this horror show type stuff. It's like kind of like if you took the whole horror show look of the Batman Arkham games, but made it a bit more grounded. That's kind of what it feels like, honestly. And I actually really like that, because I feel like most Batman villains are these horrifying, monstrous, creepy-esque characters, and whatnot. And I think so far he did fantastic in that role, because that cameo was referenced, like, it was rumored months ago, like ages ago, that he was going to have some kind of small little scene in this, and he ended up being in this, Dude's crushing it, by the way. I mean, Eternals, the Batman, like, the dude's on a freaking roll. Like, he's doing great, so. Yeah, he's fantastic in this. But I think the kind of, like, idea where it's like, like, this guy probably fell into that vat of, like, chemicals at Ace Chemicals, and that's what kind of like caused his whole look where like his hair is coming out in clumps, his skin's like kind of scarred and burned, he has like facial deformities, and whatnot. Just like, and it almost looks like his fingers were either like singed by the chemicals, or he like burned his fingerprints off. Which, I mean, that's a, Seven reference and whatnot, where the character, the villain of that film, like, burned his, his fingerprints off, so it feels like maybe he did that. If you look at that scene and the deleted scene, it looks very reminiscent of that, so he could be the next villain, but Matt Reeves has said that little cameo appearance does not necessarily mean he actually will be. He might quite possibly not be, the next villain, and I don't want him to be. I think, like, you don't want to put him in the sequel to be like this sort of like Dark Knight, like, it's like you don't want to draw too much to that. So I think more likely they're probably just going to save him for later down the line, and that's what I hope. And I think Matt Reeves, like I said, he recently said like that doesn't necessarily mean we're going to use him. So future villains, I would probably say A really awesome fan theory, and I absolutely hope this becomes the truth, is the scene where, like, Batman at the end of the film gets all, like, roughed up and hurt, and he's just tired, and he's all beat, and, like, you know, one of those Riddler guys is about to kill him. Then he injects that, like, weird vial of, like, green liquid into his leg and, like, amps himself up. Like, he gets, like, his stamina back, increased strength, and goes into a blind rage, and whatnot. And the liquid he injected into himself is a light green color. And if you know, you've read the comics and whatnot, and you know Batman, that kind of hints that maybe that stuff is venom, which is used by, famously, my favorite Batman villain, Bane. You know, the kind of mercenary with, you know, the whole, like, wrestling luchador mask, which looks, I mean, it's an incredible look. And I feel it would be really cool if they did, like, a comic accurate version of that, where it's like, yeah, we're going to give him venom. We're going to do, like, the whole, like, wrestling luchador mercenary look. Like, I think that would be really awesome. And that could be kind of like a loose, easy way to, like, bring in, like, yeah, maybe Bane later down the line, who I think would be a great version for this character, you know, this universe. I think you'd be fantastic for it, you know. But Matt Reeves has come out and said, and this doesn't necessarily mean this is guaranteed, but given how well this film has done and how much, you know, Warner Brothers trusts him, I wouldn't be surprised if they went down this route. And Matt Reeves recently came out and said, like, he thinks that a grounded version of Mr. Freeze would be a perfect villain for the next film, and I totally agree. That's what I want to see. You know, like, maybe put in, like, Hush as maybe kind of a side villain in that film if you want, you know, that could later down the line be involved in some stuff. But I think the main villain of the next film should be Mr. Freeze. You know, because he is a perfect character. Because it seems like with this version of this Batman universe, it seems like they're either taking characters that they haven't seen before in live action, or it seems like they're going with either villains that we haven't seen before or ones that haven't been done justice. And I feel Mr. Freeze would be perfect for that, because he's never in live action really had a great incarnation, you know. Really the best version of the character we've seen is obviously the Batman animated series, you know, Heart of Ice, you know. The amazing Bruce Timm Paul Dini episode. You know, it's that won, like, a bunch of awards, you know. I think it'd be perfect. You know, give him a grounded version, do the whole, like, his wife's dying, he's afraid of losing her and whatnot, which Screen Crush did a great video on, you know, why he'd be a perfect villain, as in, you know, Bruce recently realized, you know, he understands fear of losing someone, you know, with his parents and Alfred, and that would be a perfect parallel to Mr. Freeze, you know, worrying about losing his wife. Like, it'd be incredible. And personally, like, as in, who should they cast? I think a couple years back, they, like, said, like, some people would fan cast him, and I think he'd be perfect, is Michael Fassbender. I think he'd be perfect as him. You know, a grounded Mr. Freeze, this kind of sort of like Dr., you know, Otto Octavius, you know, Alfred Molina, handsome, you know, dapper, well-cut scientist and whatnot, that, you know, kind of has his wife, stuff happens to her and whatnot, and gets involved in this kind of horrible accident that turns them into this villainous monster, basically. I think he would be a great villain and foil to Batman, you know, and whatnot, in terms of, instead of just, punching the villains to win the day, working with them, like, I know what you're going through. I've been there. I felt that, let me help you. Let me help you, I want to help people and give somebody a symbol of hope to look up towards. I think he'd be perfect. He would be the perfect villain. So personally, I hope it's Mr. Freeze. I think Michael Fassbender is probably a pretty good actor. I think if you wanted to, you go with him. Maybe even like James McAvoy, or something. I think whoever you do, you got to get that kind of caliber of actor. But I think he'd be, to have a more grounded version of the character, I think he'd be perfect. I agree that he would be a perfect villain. But overall, the Batman, it's a masterpiece. 10 out of 10. I mean, it's incredible. There's really no, problems with it that I can think of. So many people, overanalyze stuff these days, I feel like with this, I think, honestly, I think, my stomach is killing me. I feel like I'm getting stabbed in the side here. But, no, I think it's a great film. I can't really think of many, kind of flaws or problems with it. Honestly. So, I think it's quite good. Honestly, it's a great film. Excellently acted. Perfectly cast. It's a masterpiece on every level. I think if I had to say, criticism-wise, really the only thing I can think of is it may be a bit too long for some people. Like I said, I'll admit, I was like, okay, this is kind of long, but by the end of it, I was like, I understood what Matt Reeves and Pattinson did. I was like, you do have to, for a story like this, you got to go that long form route, So I think in terms of length, it was justified in the end, and whatnot. But other than that, I think it's perfect. I can't really even think of a single flaw in that film. I really seriously can't think of anything. I've had a week or two to kind of sit on it, and but besides the length for some people, I honestly can't think of anything. It's just perfect. It's a great film. So, yeah. But, yeah. So, that's what I have been doing lately. What I've been up to. What's been going on. But, yeah. So, yeah. I will be returning soon. When I have the chance to record, I would like to record a Batman audio. Now that it's kind of in Batman fever, Batman mania, right now and whatnot. By the way, Moon Knight, absolutely great and whatnot. Fantastic, excellently made and well cast. I've seen the first 2 episodes and it's fantastic. I won't talk about it here because this is already long enough, but in the next episode of the podcast, I will. I'll do that, because I would like to talk about it. Because, by the next episode of this podcast that comes out, it'll have been a week or so. So there'll be a new episode. So it'll have been 3 episodes so far. So I think that would be a nice spot to be now that we're halfway into the season so far, we can, we can do some stuff. We can talk about it and kind of be okay, let's reflect so far. But I'm excited to talk about that because I have a lot of stuff to talk about for that series, which like I said, it's fantastic. But yeah, so thank you all for sticking around and not being completely bored of me. I put up like a poll, like, do people want to see me do stuff? Oh, by the way, the whole Chris Rock, Will Smith situation is just freaking hilarious. Like, good grief. You know, like, I'm not really necessarily going to get into the whole, you know, is it justified? Is it this? Is it that? You know, I'm not going to necessarily get into that, but, you know, maybe talk about that in the next episode of the podcast to reflect on, because that's something. That's something. But, yeah, so, you know. Oh, wow, 97% of people on the poll wanted that. No one even picked the no option. That feels so good. No, it's good to know people are like, yeah, dude, like, we want to see your stuff again. It is hilarious. Haley LC said, no, old man. That was one of the options. It was like, boy, you just turned 22 yesterday. That's funny, but, no, yeah. It's good to know that people want to see me, so, you know, and I'm excited to, you know, kind of get back into it. I got a lot of cool stuff I'd like to do, so, you know. And without further ado, this has been the Nights of Lucky podcast episode, Who Gives a Shit? I can't count. I can't count. I don't remember. It's like in the teens, like maybe 18, 19, around that, something like that, you know, so who knows? It's a number, double digits. It's double digits for sure. But, yeah, so, you know, yeah, glad to be back, and I hope you're all doing well. I love you all. Take care. You know, so try to just not get eaten by any, like, weird werewolf monsters, or, I don't know, mutant alligators, or, you know, get abducted by aliens from outer space. Who knows? It could be anything. Anything could happen. You could walk outside and, you know, a ham and cheese sandwich falls out of the sky and caves your head in, you know. Who knows? You know, maybe they put too much ham and cheese in that, and that's why it's so heavy. You know, so, but, yeah. So, love you all. Take care, and I will see you in the next one, whenever that is. Bye-bye. Boop.